Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Paul, the Canadian Snowman, here with Hannibal. We just did an episode of why Hannibal didn't attack Rome, or at least why they think he didn't. Because obviously you never know exactly what his reasonings are. But anyways, we're not going to Rome this episode, but we are at the Battle of Ager, Falernus. I don't know. I don't know, but isn't this I'm assuming this is the battle against the other guy, the other Roman leader that Hannibal kind of avoided, but then stole all his horses that when he defeated the his cavalry that were coming through the mountains. So I believe he's kind of gonna march that way. I think that's what they said in the last video. I don't know, I forget. But looks like we're gonna have a big battle there. Man. I wonder. I always try to think of how is he going to win the next one? Because he just had this really cool victory. Obviously not the one the video, obviously not the last video, but before that he had an awesome victory. And I'm just thinking about, man, what's he going to come up with this time for this battle? So I guess we'll find out that. So that's gonna be really cool to see. But yeah, not much more to say until we get into the video, right? Like I said, hit that like and subscribe, guys, if you haven't yet, and definitely check out the previous episodes if you haven't yet, and definitely check out some other series we got going on here too, or have done, like the Caesar series, which I'm gonna play catch up after this series. So definitely you should catch up on that before we get to the more recent one. So you should definitely do that. What else is there, guys? I don't know. Let's jump into the video. Jump into the video. We got Hannibal. Dun, dun. I'm glad when the name Hannibal comes up, this is this man's gonna be the first thing that comes to my mind now. Because any other time before now, when I heard the name Hannibal, always made me think of the movies, Hannibal Lecter and stuff like that. So this is definitely a lot cooler Hannibal. So awesome stuff. And this is from History March, so definitely check out their channel. Awesome content. But anyways, 3, 2, 1, bam.
This video is brought to you by Skillshare.
Come on, Skillshare, promote me.
It's late in the year 217 BC. Destroyed towns and burned farmland stretch as far as the eye can see. Hannibal had plundered the Ager Falernus Valley, perhaps the richest region in all of Rome.
Okay.
But he is now surrounded and trapped by a more numerous Roman army, led by a general who seems to know all about his old tricks.
Oh, really?
With cold weather approaching, the Carthaginian general is running out of time.
Part 8. Wow.
It's summer 217 BC. Having decided not to march on Rome, Hannibal went back across the Apennine Mountains. He ordered that all military-aged Roman males that were encountered on the march were to be killed.
Wow.
But the Carthaginian general had reasons to worry. His army fought in 3 battles without ever fully recovering from the crossing of the Alps, and by now the men showed signs of scurvy and the horses of mange, both caused by vitamin deficiency.
Damn.
After 10 days, the Carthaginian army reached the Adriatic Sea. Hannibal allowed the men to recover through eating the plentiful produce gathered from this rich area. The horses were bathed in the sour wine which had been captured in great quantities to restore the condition of their coats. Meanwhile, Publius Cornelius Scipio was sent as proconsul to Iberia with reinforcements of some 30 new ships, 8,000 troops, and fresh supplies. What persuaded the Senate to divert such valuable resources to Iberia at a time when Hannibal was on a path of destruction in Italy was their desire to prevent reinforcements from reaching Hannibal by land. But more importantly, it was the Senate's determination upon a long-term Roman involvement in Iberia, made possible by Gnaeus' success on the battlefield at Tarraco and Ebro, as well as his flexible diplomatic methods through which he forged treaties of neutrality and alliances that brought many Iberian tribes to the Roman side.
Okay.
It is Gnaeus' ability to act autonomously without waiting for directives from Rome that gave the Senate a strategic advantage halfway across the Mediterranean.
Wow, I'm surprised, but I guess since Hannibal decided not to go to Rome, they're like, okay, we don't need these supplies over here near Rome because apparently he's not going to Rome. So they're like, well, let's take advantage of that and go, do this other thing, Interesting.
Rome that gave the Senate a strategic advantage halfway across the Mediterranean, where they could otherwise exert no direct control. The Senate felt assured that by supporting the Scipio brothers in Iberia, Rome would have good prospects for fighting the Carthaginians in their own backyard. Back in Italy, with the army restored to health, Hannibal continued advancing down the coast. He sent a message by sea to Carthage, reporting on the situation in Italy. The Carthaginian Senate expressed delight with his progress and promised aid to support his campaign. Meanwhile, the appointed dictator, Quintus Fabius Maximus, took command of Geminus's remaining 4 legions and went after Hannibal. Replacement of the terrible losses at Lake Trasimene required an emergency levy of 2 additional legions, which brought the dictator's army to around 40,000, including allies. It is possible that some of the new recruits were very young and older men, originally intended for Rome's city garrison, with some in the process of being trained while on the march.
Wow.
Fabius was a man in his late 50s, rather old by the standards of Roman generals, but he was a proven commander. Having been awarded a triumph for his victory over the Ligurians during his consulship in 233 BC, he also held the position of censor in 230 and was elected consul again in 228. Now as dictator, he was yet to reveal his plan on how he will deal with Hannibal. So far, he had been advancing cautiously, carefully scouting ahead to give himself plenty of warning of the enemy's presence. Meanwhile, Hannibal pillaged and burned his way down the coast, accumulating vast quantities of grain, cattle, and other produce. His plan was to reach southern Italy, where he expected to sway some of Rome's allies to join him. The 2 commanders met for the first time in northern Apulia, encamping just 10 kilometers apart. Hannibal immediately offered battle outside the Roman camp. But no response came from Fabius. The Carthaginian general waited long enough to impress his own men with the enemy's timidity before leading the army back into camp. The following morning, Hannibal continued the march, ravaging the countryside as he went, in an attempt to goad Fabius into battle. He provokingly went past the Roman army back into the Apennine Mountains. But the Roman dictator merely followed the enemy and apparently had no intention of risking a battle under any circumstances. This was certainly wise, as nearly half of his army was made up of raw recruits, and some of the men were in awe of Hannibal, who had defeated the Roman armies on 3 occasions that year.
All right, so yeah, this new Maximus here, not very eager to jump into battle here, which is very interesting because usually, just from like past videos, they're like rushing to kind of get that fame and stuff, and he's like sitting back. It looks like he's just kind of like eyeing out the army and seeing like what exactly Hannibal has, because they're walking right by him, so he probably knows exactly what Hannibal has to bring to the fight, so he won't be surprised. And yeah, just kind of biding his time, probably like just waiting for the right moment, I guess. Interesting.
who had defeated the Roman armies on 3 occasions that year. But Fabius's strategy wasn't too popular in Rome. Notwithstanding the disasters of the Trebia and Trasimene, powerful elements of the Roman Senate still believed that Hannibal could be defeated in a pitched battle. Although he was appointed dictator, the Senate restricted Fabius's freedom of action by denying him the right to choose his own second-in-command. Instead, they foisted upon him Marcus Minucius Rufus, a former consul. Nevertheless, as Hannibal continued across the Apennines, Fabius...
It's interesting right now because Hannibal, like Maximus was going to stop him from going to Rome because he was already there. But now, like, Hannibal basically does have a free path to Rome right now because, you know, Maximus is now behind him, so he could basically walk straight into Rome with very little, I guess, manpower to take him down once he got there, right? So this is interesting, you know. I wonder how this is going to play out.
Nevertheless, as Hannibal continued across the Apennines, Fabius shadowed him. The hilly country favoured the Romans, allowing Fabius to stick to the high ground and only encamp in positions that Hannibal would never risk attacking. The dictator's plan was to deprive the enemy of food supplies by launching small-scale attacks on Carthaginian foraging parties, not inflicting many casualties, but making it difficult for them to gather food and fodder. But he would never risk a direct confrontation. Fabius also instructed inhabitants of surrounding villages to take with them all of the animals and food they can, before destroying and burning everything that's left behind and seek refuge in fortified towns. This tactic, which would later become known as the Fabian strategy, served not only to deplete Hannibal's forces, but also to gradually rebuild Roman military confidence. Hannibal understood that he needed to force an open battle in order to exploit the tactical superiority of his own army and prevent the situation from developing into an exhausting war of attrition that he cannot sustain. He clearly appreciated the implications to his war effort.
Another reason why, you know, here's why, I'm sorry I keep bringing this up, why, like, go to Rome, you know, and there's got to be supplies there, right, to feed your army. I mean, just get there and, yeah, it's because, you know, obviously, you know, now things are kind of getting a little dire. They, you know, and now as the fight, it's not going to be on Hannibal's terms because all these big battles he's kind of made it like under his terms and kind of like, you know, pulled the enemy in. But now it seems like things have, you know, switched around a bit, or, you know, Maximus is trying to kind of pull him into where, you know, he wants to be, you know. So interesting.
Not sustain. He clearly appreciated the implications to his war effort if Fabius would continue with this new strategy. But the cunning Carthaginian general had a plan.
Oh, yeah?
Fabius showed great skill to keep close to the enemy without giving him an opportunity to fight. But by the time Hannibal passed the walled city of Beneventum, the Roman army had fallen 2 days' march behind. The Carthaginian general planned to enter Campania and devastate the Ager Falernus, perhaps the richest area in Rome, famous for its exquisite wines and fertile land that made it the breadbasket of the Republic.
Here we go.
He felt that threatening such a prominent area, inhabited by Roman citizens, would either provoke Fabius into giving battle or demonstrate, at last, Rome's weakness, which would, hopefully, make Capua, Rome's second largest city, along with other cities, switch sides. Upon entering the valley, Hannibal unleashed his troops, ordering them to strip the region of supplies, and then burn all that remained. Immense amounts of valuables were taken, as well as vast quantities of supplies and cattle. While Fabius's strategy was already unpopular, now his political power began crumbling as quickly as the burning rich estates and villas.
Now he's forcing him
But
into a
even when
battle.
urged to seek battle by an angry Minucius, as well as other officers and displeased troops, the under-pressure Fabius would have none of it. Even though the Ager Falernus was burning, it was not enough to bring him down from the hills to challenge the Carthaginians. It seems that Hannibal was the only one who understood the implications of Fabius's plan. Hannibal failed to provoke an open battle, and despite the vast plunder that was taken, it was clear that he could not winter in the valley, as it couldn't sustain his army until spring. He needed to establish a base where his army could winter and enjoy the spoils of its raiding. Several points led out from the valley, but Fabius had already strengthened the garrisons on the river to the south and placed small contingents on the eastern and western ends of the valley. Trying to force his way through any of these fortified points would be dangerous for Hannibal. And his plan was to come back the way he came, where he already knew the lay of the land. But the Roman dictator stationed 4,000 legionaries on higher ground that would block the pass through which Hannibal intended to exit. And he encamped with the rest of the army on the hillside further west from where he could attack the Carthaginian rear once they tried to march out of the valley. Hannibal knew he was hemmed in, and that once his supplies dwindled, he would be forced to launch a direct attack against fortified Roman positions on unfavourable terrain where his cavalry would be unusable.
Damn.
And the longer he waited...
Man, so we're definitely, obviously, this is the name of the battle, is Ager, so it's definitely happening here, but... Man, so Hannibal has to make a decision, and... Maximus here, he's just waiting for him. Like, it's just very odd. Like, we've never seen this before. Like, Hannibal kind of being forced to kind of fight a certain way. And, I mean, maybe Hannibal still has, like, a trick up his sleeve. I don't know. We're not in the battle yet here, guys, so I guess we'll see. But wow, he's surrounded, man. How's he going to get out of this one?
Where his cavalry would be unusable. And the longer he waited, the worse his situation would become. So, he began making preparations.
Okay.
Finally, a few weeks into the stalemate, Hannibal ordered the troops to eat a hearty supper and go to bed early, to get as much rest as possible for the night ahead.
Oh, really?
As all activities in the three camps quietened down, the guards remained on their posts, and the campfires lit up the night sky. It seemed like another uneventful day had ended. But about an hour before daybreak, a mass of torches appeared, heading across a small ridge in front of the pass. It seemed that Hannibal decided to force his way out after all.
Trick, it's a trick.
Thinking they were being outflanked, the 4,000 Roman troops holding the pass left their position to block the enemy's movement. Little did they know that the column of torches weren't enemy soldiers, but thousands of captured oxen with burning branches tied to their horns, guided by Carthaginian camp followers.
Wow.
Upon reaching the milling animals, the legionnaires halted in confusion. Then, out of the darkness, came about 2,000 Iberian javelin-men. Although outnumbered 2 to 1, they were more nimble than the heavily armoured Romans, and more accustomed to fighting in rugged terrain. As the fighting raged on the ridge, Hannibal was already moving with the rest of his army in total silence. He planned to flank the Roman contingent through a very narrow passage that was now left unguarded. Fabius saw the torchlight and heard the noise of the fighting, but refused to move from his camp in the darkness, despite the urgings of his officers and Minucius in particular. Given the problems of fighting a night battle and the relative inexperience of his soldiers, Fabius probably made the correct decision. He had no way of knowing whether or not Hannibal was setting up another trap, and it is questionable whether the Romans would have been able to locate and intercept the enemy in time.
Oh, wow.
Hannibal was able to ascend the pass and escape with his army and plunder intact.
Damn.
As daylight broke, the Carthaginian general reacted quicker than his opponent, sending a force of Iberian infantry from the rear of the column to support the embattled and outnumbered troops on the ridge. The lightly armed and agile infantry managed not only to relieve the javelin-men, but inflicted heavy losses on the Roman contingent. The way in which Hannibal extricated his army from a seemingly hopeless situation became a classic of ancient generalship, finding its way into nearly every historical narrative of the war and being used by later military manuals.
Damn.
Fabius had been humiliated for allowing his enemy to escape. Even before Ager Falernus, many in Rome and within the army resented the dictator's passive strategy. But while Fabius's political reputation suffered, his troops actually gained valuable experience under his leadership. More importantly, he prevented Hannibal from potentially destroying another Roman army, which would have undoubtedly persuaded many of Rome's allies to defect. And now he was following Hannibal back across the Apennines.
Here we go again.
The two commanders would meet again. If you ever wondered how we create maps for our videos and you'd like to create some of your own, click on the link in the description to check out Daniel Hassenboz's class, Fantasy Maps in Photoshop, on Skillshare, for free.
Wow, that was a quick episode. Like, I think that was the battle right there. You know, basically, then wasn't really much of a battle, but it was basically, well, it was a battle, but you know what I'm saying. It, just for Hannibal to sneak on out of there. Wow. Yeah, I knew as soon as they say go to sleep with full bellies, obviously something was up. So, wow. I mean, Hannibal, man, doesn't seem. I mean, it seems to amaze me around every corner. You know, just when I think that okay, there's going to be a battle, but he'll come in the middle of battle. You'll figure out something, and that was kind of what was going through my head. But wow. So now they're playing follow the leader again, and we'll see what happens next. I don't know where they're gonna go. Dang, man, it's like the suspense. So they're just trying to keep us in suspense by giving you a little sliver. Like this, basically, the battle was a little sliver or something. We're like, it's like, come on now, man. We want to see like this large scale assault battle, you know, and oh well. We'll get it next time, guys. But that was definitely genius. Definitely genius. As you know, as when they said they left like an hour before daylight was lights, I knew that wasn't the army. Obviously, it was not the army, but I mean, I didn't think it was the Ox, though, man. That's crazy, man. Wow. Wow. Man, that would have been funny if you were like a soldier, you know, you're raring for a battle, you're about to meet these torches, and there's a bunch of Ox come at you. You're like, what the heck is going on over here? So that would have been really funny to see, you know, their faces. But and definitely another awesome video. I like how like all the videos are different. They're not all like the same kind of battle. They're all different and all got some. They're all just different, yeah. But anyways, guys, please hit that like and subscribe button. Let me know what you guys think about this ingenious plan. I thought it was definitely awesome. Like you can never say like which plan out of all these battles is his best one because they're all like, just so amazing. So it's kind of hard to kind of pick one. But we will continue our journey with Hannibal, guys, and on to the next battle or whatever. I don't know what is next. We're going to be on to, I guess, part 9 is next. Pennines back across the. Okay, we might not even get a battle next time. But anyways, guys, we'll see you guys in the next video. I appreciate you guys sticking around and watching me once again. Because history is amazing, and this Hannibal history, totally amazing. So I really appreciate it, guys. You guys are awesome, and I'll catch you guys in future videos. Thank you for watching. Peace.